Hello class, my name is Brendan Nagel and today we're talking about sports consumer behavior. Before I get started, I just want to let y'all know that I do have roommates and dogs. So if you hear any noises or barking, I do apologize in advance. So about this video, we see a bunch of Eagles fans waiting outside a store at 4 a.m. waiting before the store opens at 5 a.m. just so they can get this new apparel that just launched because they just won the Super Bowl. They're Super Bowl champions. They won it in 2018. They beat the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. This game carried crazy amounts of value and emotion for this team because their starting quarterback had gotten injured at the end of the regular season. Their backup had to carry them through the playoffs and eventually the Super Bowl, and they came out on top and beat the best quarterback of all time. So think about value and emotion within the specific fan group. So within the Eagles, that value and emotion regarding that game was absolutely incredible. Think about it with the Astros. That value and emotion was extremely incredible when the Astros won the World Series. So this makes you think that whenever a sports team's fans, whenever they win a World Series or a championship, Super Bowl like that, the value and emotion is always incredibly high. So this plays a factor in some of the theories I'm going to talk about later, which are Burgeing and social identity theory. I'm also going to talk about sports management concepts and things that can aid us getting better in the future when we go to our specific sports organizations if we decide to go that route. So first, let's talk about Burgeing. So Burgeing was identified by Cialdini in 1978. He ran multiple studies. One of them, he went to a bunch of football powerhouse schools all across the country, Notre Dame, USC, Michigan, the big boys. And he went to campus on Monday, and he was seeing that if the student population were wearing the team's apparel following a Saturday win or a Saturday loss. And he found that after a win on Saturday, more students were wearing the apparel that following Monday than after a loss. But this makes sense if you think about it. After your team wins, you have positive emotions. You view this, you go have fun with your friends, you're celebrating a huge win. Let's say it's like an SC championship for Alabama, things like that. You're celebrating. You want to represent for this team because this team has done so much for you. It has given you an amazing college experience. It's brought you in close to a bunch of your friends. But if you think about this, this plays in both ways, in college and the NFL. So think on that for the rest of the presentation before I get into more detail. But another one of the studies I want to talk about was for positive and negative emotions more so. So he called specific students and told them about a game, talked about a game where their team won and a game where their team lost. And for the game they won, students correlated the game with we and us. Compared to a game when they lost, they said they or them. This just dives into deeper what I was saying earlier about fans want to connect that positive image of winning, of being successful within themselves like their team just was. So the book talks about, in the articles we've read, talked about how this can correlate within self-esteem and self-improvement. People always sometimes want to better themselves in a way and want to feel better about themselves. And so when their team can win and do amazing things on the field, they want to correlate that with their lives. So now, enough of Burgeing, let's talk about social identity theory. So for social identity theory, I feel like this plays a really crucial role because like I said earlier about specific sports fans for specific teams. So in Burgeing also, fans usually only burge for one specific team. You don't see fans burgeoning after every single Super Bowl if their team doesn't win. This is because of, like I said earlier, the value and emotion that this team presents to them. And this also ties into the social identity theory because this team can actually have impacted these people's lives in a positive manner. Thus meaning their families always watch the game, their group of friends always watch the game, and they brought them all close together. So these are the factors we need to think about within the sports consumer world because it's not just winning games. So winning games obviously does play a factor, but it's the team identification as a whole and how you represent your team within the community and how have you impacted that community. So going into our roles as sports managers in the future, that's what we need to think about. We need to think about how we can impact the community and get them to become long-term fans where their loyalty is dependent on us, not dependent on us winning. So we can win, we can lose, but they still are dependent on this team because we have done so much for them and they have such a social connection with us and a long-lasting identification. So in sum, Burgeing and social identity theory all play a role in sports consumer behavior. Burgeing as in is boosting fans' self-esteem when we're winning, and they can draw out the excessive emotion of winning and show society, social identity theory, show society that they love this team and they want to be a part of this team in the future. So that's all the time I have. I know I had to talk really fast and sum it all up, but I'm curious on what y'all think about this. If you think any other factors play a role, or if you disagree or agree with any of my topics. Thank you.